you have anything you want to say before we go to questions?
Yeah, I have a speech.
I figured you did.
Luka walked off on his own power. I think he got rolled up on his lower left leg, so we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
Okay.
My medical report.
You guys took the lead in the fourth quarter with a lineup that had no centers for Freeman. What prompted you to go to that lineup, and what did you think of it?
Well, we had on the board, we had Boban, who again, when we've called on him, he's responded in a positive way. And then we went with Dorian at the 5. With their second unit, we felt they were small. Even though they had Bobo out there, we felt that could be a lineup that we can get going, give us some energy and some physicality. And that's what they brought that gave us a lift there in that fourth quarter. Or third quarter, one of the quarters.
Started the fourth, I think.
Yeah, started
Yeah,
fourth.
right. Yeah, right.
So that group was great, you know, and they haven't played together. And you see in this league, there's some teams that will play without a center and go small. And so we're not afraid to do, you know, different things just to, you know, figure out how to get a win. And that group was really, really good. Dorian at the 5, and we had, I think, 4 point guards or 4 guards out there. And I thought Timmy was great on both ends of the ball tonight for us.
Jason, could you tell us the way KP kind of kept you guys into the rest of the offense?
Yeah, KP was great. Again, on both sides of the ball. You know, we asked them to not just score for us, but we also asked them to play defense on the MVP tonight, and he did his best. And when you look at KP at the 5, you know, we don't want to have him out there for 40 minutes at the 5. I think, you know, for the journey of this season, that's just too many minutes at the 5. And so for us to get him at the 5 tonight was good, and we'll continue to get him at the 5.
What do you like about those lineups with him at the 5?
Well, I think it gives us the versatility. It gives room for offense, and then defensively, he can protect the rim for us, and that's what he's been able to give us. Is, you know, when teams are switching, he can roll down the small. If teams don't switch, where he can pop, and Luka calls his 2 on the ball, he becomes not just a shooter but a playmaker. And you saw that at the end of the game when he rolled and got the pass from Luka, he becomes a decision maker, and we trust that he's going to make the right one.
Do you recognize any difference in his mentality or motivation, knowing that he missed 5 games so early on, and there was some clamoring, some wondering, you know, what was the deal there, and he's come back so strong since then?
Yeah, I think he was going to have, I think if he didn't get hurt or, you know, I think he would have been fine. I think he would have had the same start. I think he was ready to go, and physically and mentally. We said that from training camp that KP was ready to go, and unfortunately he had to miss 5 games, but I think he picked up right where he left off.
What are the ramifications of a win like this over the Nuggets and then headed for a 4-game road? What are the ramifications?
Well, we just take one game at a time. They got to play 82, and so our road trip now is we have the Suns twice and the Clippers twice, and so we'll look to prepare for them tomorrow and fly to Phoenix and play those guys on Wednesday. They're playing at a high level. They're Western Conference champs, so we got our work cut out.
When Frank got knocked to the floor, a couple of your guys immediately, you know, jumped forward. What kind of a galvanizing thing can that be? I mean, it was obviously the heat of the moment, but certainly your guys.
Yeah, I think it's just character of who those guys are in the locker room. They protect each other. They play for one another. They have fun playing, and one of their teammates, you know, got thrown to the floor, so they were there to protect him.
What gave you the confidence that lineup could get it done in a close game without Luka or KP on the floor?
Well, I think we trust everyone in that locker room, and everyone has been able to answer the call when their name or number has been called upon. And so, from Boban to you know, Reggie to Sterling, anybody that we've called on has responded. And so, I think when you look at the league has played small here for a while now. And so, I think when you put those guys on the floor, they're basketball players. And they compete at a high level, and they did that tonight for us.
And what do you think about that lineup that started the fourth quarter and kind of just changed the whole momentum of things?
I think it was funky. He called me into the game in the fourth, and I looked down the line. And I said, "We don't got a guy over 6'7", 6'8" on the floor." So we knew going into the fourth we wanted to get the pace going, get it high, and we knew that we understood that they were coming off a back end of a back-to-back. So just wanted to get that pace going higher and making sure that when we get stops, everybody gang rebound and we just run.
How does the game change when KP's playing 5 for you guys?
I think it's great. I think when we were in the bubble, I think he played some 5, and I think he's comfortable there. When he has a 5-man on him, make a pick and pop, they're kind of slow to get out to him, and when they are at him, he could roll and drive past them, put it on the floor, and make plays. And when you got a versatile big like that at 7'3", 7'2", wherever he is, he's a dangerous player. So just trying to make sure we give him the ball in scoring areas where he could dominate and be effective, on that end of the floor for us.
You guys had already come back and maybe even had taken the lead by the time when Frank got knocked to the floor.
Yeah, took the lead, yeah.
Yeah. What kind of galvanizing moment can that be, though, when you guys?
I think just being the aggressor. J-Kid came to us at halftime and asked us how were the officials officiating, and letting us know that Denver was the aggressor in the first half, and they're grabbing, scratching, clawing, and setting the tone for the game, and how we were going to respond in the second half was up to us, and we just took it upon ourselves, like grown men, came together and made sure that we just, once the third quarter started, just whatever happens, it happens, but we're going to do it as hard as we can and be as physical as possible on both ends of the floor so we could impose our will.
All right, moving to Zoom, Kevin?
Kevin Greer, 105 through the fan. Tim, at one point when you knocked out a three-pointer that rattled in, you blew kisses to the sky. How good did it feel to get that shot in, knowing you kind of struggled against San Antonio, but really was able to help out tonight, especially in the fourth quarter?
It feels great. Just the guys made the correct play, and it was a swing. Luka came off a pick and roll. We did a shoot around this morning. We knew they were going to try to double team, get the ball out of Luka's hands. The 5-man had a 4-on-3 opportunity, and it was always going to be a 2-on-1 on the backside. So when he hit it to Reggie, that guy, he had to pick his poison at that point. He has 2 really good shooters on that side of the floor, so it really didn't matter who shot the ball. I would have been good with him shooting it, but he made the one more right play, and thankfully I just knocked it in.
Valencia?
Valencia King with Real Talk Sports. Tim, you mentioned that you guys came together as a team. Can you describe how you guys are able to keep those lines of communications open, especially in the second half? I know it's easier to say, keep talking, but what actually goes into making sure it gets done?
Well, you said it just now. It's the communication aspect of everything. And when you have all 5 guys on the same page with communication and knowing where everybody needs to be out on the floor, knowing that there's going to be times where you're in transition, you're going to be cross-matched, and you got to know the player personnel in front of you or who you're guarding. So it all boils down to communication and making sure that everybody's on the same page and on a string.
Made some shots tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like about the one big lineups, and how does that difference when you're playing with Dwight Powell next to you or another big?
I think we're getting more comfortable with both lineups. DP at the 5, me at the 4, and then also me at the 5 as the only big. I think especially like games like today against Jokic, to force Jokic to be in a lot of pick and rolls, they're coming off to back-to-back, put him in situations where he has to play a lot of defense, try to get him a little bit tired, but he's still a monster on the offensive end. So, but yeah, I think we're getting more and more comfortable, playing this way.
Were you able to see and talk to Luka after the game, and when you see your guy go down like that, what is your concern level?
Yeah, I talked to him for a little bit. He's always just, I'll be good, and hopefully he is good. I don't know. I don't think we know yet what it is, you know. But we're all, hoping that he's healthy and maybe, just need a little bit of time and he'll be back soon, hopefully.
What did you think about the no big lineup there at the start of the fourth quarter?
Who was at the 5 at that moment?
Dorian?
Dorian? Oh yeah. No, we
Maybe,
call
I
him.
guess.
We call him Big Doe. He's big. He's he got a big. He's We played like that for how long? Not too long though, no.
4 minutes?
Yeah. I didn't even pay attention to that. I think, whoever's out there, we play hard. We try to bring something, and Doe can switch on anybody. And then when Jokic was coming in, then I was subbing in also at the same time. So, it's one of those games that we knew that they're coming off back to back, and we just had to grind it out and play hard and push them physically but they're a great team. They hung in there until the very last moment, so it was a good one for us.
Do you think that you can play extended minutes as a 5? I know you did it going into the bubble and in the bubble. Is there a significant difference in terms of like the physical toll on you doing that?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm a little bit heavier this season. Feeling stronger this season, definitely. I don't know if you could see, but at least the way I feel on the court, I feel better. And I'm working on my body nonstop. Constantly working. And I'm not. I would say I'm not using as much energy anymore. To fight in those situations. It's kind of more natural now. So I'll try to keep the weight on throughout the season, and that way I don't have to use as much energy maybe in those one-on-one situations.
Okay, we'll move to Spanish on Zoom. Eric, go ahead.
Hola, Katie, gusto saludarte. Hoy tienes un muy buen partido, ya van 2 partidos o 3 que hace las cosas bastante bien. Hoy terminas con 29 puntos en 33 minutos. ¿Cómo categorizarías el accionar que has tenido en este juego y en los pasados? ¿Y es este el mejor momento en el cual te has sentido desde que llegaste a los Mavs? Gracias.
Muy buenas. Bueno, yo he tenido varios momentos bastante buenos, diría yo, en cómo me sentía en la pista. Mucho de mi juego depende de mi físico. Si estoy bien físicamente, es solo para mí es un poco solo coger un poco de ritmo y sentirme bien en la pista. Yo creo que ahora, pues, como estoy bastante bien físicamente y he trabajado mucho en mi físico este verano y ahora durante la temporada, me estoy encontrando bien, estoy cogiendo ritmo ofensivamente y nada, estoy jugando mi juego, no estoy haciendo nada de otro mundo, solo estoy jugando mi juego, estoy jugando duro y se ve en los números.
Pedro.
Gracias. Kepi, muy buenas noches.
Buenas.
Preguntarte cómo has encontrado la dinámica hasta ahora con Jason Kidd como entrenador y también lo que ha sido esta noche defender a Nikola Jokic. ¿Cómo describes el ser en parte del trampo del partido defensivo?
Estamos teniendo muy buena química, jugador-entrenador, con Jason. Es un Hall of Famer de jugador, siendo jugador y se nota eso también, ¿sabes? Él conoce muy bien a los jugadores, sabe hablar muy bien con los jugadores, transmitir su mensaje y lo más importante que tengamos buenas relaciones y estamos en la misma página y pues en eso estamos y por eso también yo creo que eso se transmite a la pista.
Okay, last one is Belia.
KP, felicidades por la victoria. Desde que volviste de la lesión estás promediando 23,2 puntos por partido, ¿no? Quisiera saber cuál ha sido la clave para conseguir esa confianza y sobre todo esos números en estos momentos.
Sí, como he dicho, mi juego está ahí. Todo depende si estoy bien físicamente. Si estoy bien físicamente, si estoy con salud, yo creo que puedo jugar a este nivel. Si estoy moviéndome bien, es lo más importante. Y ahora pues, como he dicho, he trabajado mi cuerpo muchísimo este verano, sin tener, ¿cómo se dice?, frutas de mi trabajo, ¿no? Y pues, ¿se dice así? No sé.
Sí.
Y ¿you speak Spanish too? Yeah. Y ahora pues están llegando un poco esos momentos buenos de que me estoy encontrando bien, estoy cogiendo ritmo y estoy disfrutando del juego.